Right, welcome to Time Zones and Time Meters with me, Simon. I was going to say me, Josh, but that's not true. That's you, Josh. And today we also have the special guest Lupe for the second time
Hi.
from from Lima in Peru, with our expert in South American music and prog especially. And so the first time we had me doing my top three South American prog bands and Lupe doing her top three Peruvian bands. And the plan today was that she would go with her top three South American bands or albums or whatever. And now Josh was Josh, you were not so balls deep into the South American scene, and now you scratch the surface a little bit. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right. So I've been jumping around all over the place. So since our last meeting, I've been sort of exploring different sounds from sort of South America, asking a few friends from different places around the world for some suggestions, and really just jumping around. So it's not just prog. My stuff, I just really wanted to get a good vibe for the sound. So the stuff I was going to talk about today is a little bit mixed. But anyway, we'll talk
All
about
right.
that when we get
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Lupe, how's things over there? It's in the middle of the night, right?
Yes, really late. But I
Oh,
am a night owl, so no problem.
I'm sorry for keeping you up,
Mm,
destroying
it's
your
okay.
sleeping habits. All right. Should we?
It
Should we?
is already destroyed.
I'm not adding anything. All right. Should we go that if Josh go first, then Lupe, because then we'll finish with the expert and no no offense, Josh.
Yeah, no problem at all for me.
All right.
Okay, well, so I think probably, look, the first place I wanted to start, I've always been intending to spend some time on a band called Sepultura. Sepultura, a very well-renowned sort of metal band, and I did a bit of reading into them specifically. Their more sort of proggier side or their more creative side, and I decided to have a good look into the album Roots specifically. So, look, let me put this way. This is not my jam. It's just not my jam. I tried, a few weeks ago we met with Ian as well about heavy vocals and trying to get into it. And for me, this was like, it was pretty full on to start with. But in saying that, I did persevere with it and I went through, I kind of understand what people like about it. I do get that, but I'm not just into the sort of harsh vocals itself. So for me, I would highly recommend checking out the album Roots. Specifically, it was released in 1996, roughly, and it had a huge sort of fanfare, if I remember correctly. And they do incorporate quite a few different sort of sounds, and a few specifically, like, so apparently it's centered around sort of Brazilian like politics and culture, and a few sort of soundscapes that are from that kind of an area. And so for me, that was why I wanted to have a good look at it. And yeah, look, if you're into heavier stuff, I definitely would recommend checking it out. It's not my cup of tea, but I think the band really draws on their sort of native inspiration, if you will, in this album. Yeah, I don't know what else to say on that one. I
Uh,
got through it. I got through
Lupe,
about.
do you have any relationship with Sepultura, Lupe?
Uh, Actually, I haven't listened to all their albums, but I like a few songs. You know, the songs that everybody knows. Refuge Resist, Rooks,
Yeah.
Bloody Rooks, and I don't remember anything else. But I know they are really popular in Latin America.
Yeah.
And as far as I remember, they are really political. South America has a lot of political problems, so it's normal for musicians to talk about it, no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
it's funny that
mhm,
you
mhm.
that you brought this band up, Josh, because it's like one. I've listened to them. Um, well, this kind of gives my age out a little bit because basically when this came out, I listened to it. I listened to it, but I mean, it also says that I was kind of an early adapter because I was, 10 or 11, and most 10, 11-year-olds in Sweden did not listen to Sepultura, but and I mean, it's super hard, right? So, I mean, and that was what attracted me at that time. I just wanted it to be as hard as possible. And it's a bit, you know, I, I remember that like South Americans that I met, uh, usually, it's really linked on revolution, uh, especially bands like Sepultura, that, it's not music, it's resistance, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And I
for
mean, you
sure.
you see it in music as well, but or in the lyrics as well. But I would recommend you to maybe check out the is it Max Cavaleras or is it both Cavaleras, the brothers band that they had like a couple of years later, Soulfly, which was maybe a little bit more new metal-ish, but I think it's maybe even better. So I mean, if you want to give it a second shot, maybe you know, yeah,
No,
that's also worth something. Yeah.
I think that's cool. That's cool. And so, yeah, awesome. Awesome. I'll write that down right away. Check it out. I think this will be a band that I pick back up again, in a few years' time, and then pick them up again a few years' time. And I don't doubt that they'll kind of eventually click for me as well, because it seems to have some cool stuff that's in there.
Yeah, but indeed, if you want prog, that's not, you know,
No, this is
it's pretty
definitely more like
straightforward. This,
this is more like thrash metal. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, Simon, sorry.
All right. Well, let's go head over to Lupe. You had a top three. Let's start from the bottom.
Okay, I want to talk about Argentinian band. Well, Argentina has many, 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 many bands. They are really crazy about music. They support music a lot. They are really fun on music. And well, it was really really difficult to choose a band. But this time I wanna talk about Bubu. That's the name of the band. They are from the 70s, but their first album was released in 1978. I really love the music. It's really crazy, but it's also beautiful. You can feel the influence of jazz, but also classical music. The main composer, Daniel Andreoli, is his name. Says he's a fan of Stravinsky, and you can feel that in the music. There is some people that says that they are a little similar to Englagore. Um, Englagore didn't even exist in that time, but you can feel that it's a little similar. Crazy, but at the same time beautiful, really progressive. Um, this this album is almost instrumental, but it has some vocals, but no, not too much. Um, Something really interesting in this album is the saxophone. Is really, I don't know, maybe you can compare with maybe Vandergraaf Generator. I'm not sure, but there is a really good album. This was the only album until some years ago they released another album. Um, did you know the band?
Yeah, I've heard of the album Annabella's.
Yes, Annabella's is
Yeah.
the name of the album.
That's the album that you also recommend.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that very much. I got recommended to it by someone on the Instagram. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was very nice, very nice. I like it a lot. Yeah, I mean it's classic prog at its peak. Yeah.
Did you have anything
Yes.
that you thought was different about it at all, or is it what really characterizes the sound? Is it the saxophone that dominates stuff, or is it just that it's a bit wacky and out there? Simon, what do you think?
Oh,
Sorry.
I have to listen to it more. I just have, noted in my mind. I really like this. I want to listen to it more, but I cannot elaborate on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Some people says that it's difficult to listen to this album, but I don't think it's difficult. Maybe because I am a little crazy and I am my brain is adapted to this kind of music, but I don't know. I really like it because it's chaotic, but at the same time it's beautiful.
Yeah, that sounds
I,
cool.
Mm.
I have to say, I also have to look up Engla God, because I mean it's a very important band to for like the reignition of Prague, modern Prague, basically. Um, because I mean, maybe I give credit to the Flower Kings to like bringing up Prague again in the '90s, but Engla God was first. Yeah, so that's a nice mention, and maybe they are inspired by Bubu. Anyway, Josh, what's your second pick?
So the look, I just want to put in there that band there. I can't even pronounce their name properly. Angler Good or whatever it is. They're on my to listen. So I've got them on there, and I haven't got there yet. And I really I have like had a quick look at a few little things, but they are on my like I'll get there eventually list, which I'm actually quite excited about checking out. So maybe I'll bump them up too, especially after this episode too. Look, my second one was I wanted to jump genres, so I went from heavy to then like more fast paced. I wanted to look at something that had a little bit more of a like a different vibe, and so I got a recommendation for a band called Raimundos. Again, bad accent, but they're a Brazilian band. Again, these guys here are more, I don't know. I guess they're kind of a bit of a full-on energy, more punk feeling kind of band for me, or at least that's the albums that I checked out. They're really high energy. They sound like they're singing some pretty sort of out there, weird kind of lyrics and stuff. And it looks like that back in the '90s they were quite the hit among like the youth of sort of that area. I think they've made some silly songs. They've also made a few, and I noticed that they've sort of progressed and ended up disbanding and then reforming again a bit later on. And they've got a slightly different sound with the newer stuff too. But this is a band that's a lot of fun. It's a band that's very easy to listen to, and it's a band that I mean, look. Half the time, I'm not 100% sure what they're singing about, if I'm honest. So I had to look up a few translations, but it was a lot of fun, and I'm definitely really glad that somebody recommended this one to me because it should just showcased a different side of sort of this sort of music, and it's not my stereotypical jam. And I understand we're more often than not a bit of a podcast,
Where are they from?
these guys here are, I think they're Brazilian as well, if I remember correctly. Yes, they are. They're based in Brasilia. Um, it says Distrito Federal. I don't know.
That's a big country. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It says here they mix hardcore with elements of forró, a popular type of music and dance from Brazil's northeast. And that was actually the line that to me made me go, "Oh, I want to check that out." If it's something that's more sort of native and sort of popular sort of dance sort of thing. And look, you can definitely dance along to this kind of music as well. So they were formed in the '80s. They were around. I think they reached their peak in the '90s. They finished up in the 2000s, and they've been reformed since then. I think one of the members, something happened to them, like he converted maybe, and so is now like a part of the Christianity was a big thing for him. So because of it, he left the band. I don't think the messaging was coinciding, lifestyle was coinciding with his vibe, and so he created another band which sort of has his messages that he believes in and sort of follows his faith a bit too. So there's a Christian version of this band out there which I haven't checked out yet, but in saying that, I think the large appeal of the fun that this band has is is probably was too much for his new sensibilities or whatnot. So anyway, that's my take. Maybe check these guys out if you're in for sort of exploring that kind of faster paced, danceable, kind of.
What would you? Is there another band that you would say sounds a little bit like him?
Yeah, I got like a maybe not like I know this is a bit weird, but like your Blink 182 kind of, there's a little bit of that sort of pop punk, like easy to listen to, like choruses, and there's lots of hooks in there as well. Upbeat sounds. I don't know. They're definitely like them, and a few other bands that kind of vibe of that sort of late 90s punk, pop kind of, resurgence that happened at the, during that time.
But with the Latin vibes in it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and also there is just a slightly different sound to it, which I do think is that, what do they call it? Foro. But yeah, it's definitely got that sort of thing.
All right, Lupe. Numero duo.
Okay, this time we are going to Chile. I am sure you know what I am going to talk about. Maybe you mentioned
I
this
got my
band
suspicion.
the last time, but I couldn't stop myself to talk about them because I love this band. I am talking about los Jaivas. They are actually from the 60s. Is wow, but obviously they had many lineups and they are still playing together. Um, they like to play in interesting places because some years ago they played in the Atacama Desert. They made a concert there. And well, for the people who doesn't know, Los Jaivas, they play a fusion of progressive rock with Andean music, but also some other kinds of Latin American music. The album I am going to talk about is Alturas de Machu Picchu. Here I have my copy, but it's obviously a reissue because I am not rich, so it's not original. It's in Machu Picchu with many musicians from Latin America. It was going to be a huge concert to broadcast. They were going to record to broadcast this concert. He asked them to make an album inspired by a poem by Pablo Neruda, a poet from Chile. The poem is called Alturas de Machu Picchu, that is the heights of Machu Picchu. So they say yes to to this. They finished the album in only a few months. Well, it's amazing because the album is is wow. When you listen to the album, you can't believe they made it in less than a year. And they finished the album, and in a month they were in Machu Picchu. But at the end, the producer only made the concert with them. I don't know why, but they were the only band that played that day. And if you see the videos, it's wow, it's magical. The quality is really bad because it seems like VHS. But I hope someone master that video because it's terrible, but you still feel the magic. No? My favorite song maybe is La Poderosa Muerte. That is a masterpiece. For me, it's one of the best songs that have been written in not only in this side of the world, but in the whole world. It starts with an instrument that is called tuca, that is a Mapuche instrument. It's a huge. It's like a horn. I don't know if the pronunciation is correct, but it's like you have to see the video. It's an
One more
amazing
time.
song.
What did you say about this instrument that it was?
Instrument. It's a
The,
Mapuche instrument. It's from
yeah, yeah,
the indigenous people from Chile and Argentina.
yeah, yeah.
This song is really interesting because you listen to these instruments and then you listen a mini moog, drums, piano, a guitar solo.
The,
I love los Jaivas. Yes,
yeah.
that's
And I
my
mean,
second
this is
recommendation.
also a beautiful thing with progressive bands, right? That they uh, the usage of all these different instruments. And what there's also a what band is it that uses like makes their own instruments as well? There um, is that maybe Magma or some band like that? That
Their own instruments. Wow,
the,
there are
the,
many.
yeah yeah that creates their own instruments and add them to their music as well. I
That's
have to look this
crazy.
up. Yeah, that's but I mean it's also super cool that that these bands use all these indigenous instruments that you would not hear in a British prog band, or I mean perhaps, but not to the same extent. Um, yeah, that's a cool thing. Absolutely. I immediately have to think of Tubular Bells when it's like introducing two Spanish guitars, ding, 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 ding. Introducing two slightly distorted guitars, Tubular Bells. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, it's fun with with lots of instruments. Yeah. Yeah, a great recommendation, Lupe. I cannot understate, or I can only agree with you. Fantastic record, fantastic band as well, and fantastic live show. And I mean, you of course also have this where they performed it 30 years later or something like that. Then you have good quality. Of course, that's maybe not the golden era, but I mean, I
Yes,
have
but
zero
it's still
complaints about
nice.
the. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, Josh, what you got?
Okay. I was going to put down this one. I don't know. Look, I was going to mention that Flor de Loto was recommended to me like last time we spoke, and I looked them up as I looked up many of the things that Lupe brought up before. And I, I don't know. Look, I spent a fair bit of time on this band, like lots of time on this band, especially their most recent album, and it was spectacular. Like I thought it was such a good recommendation, and for me, it definitely ticks off a box that. I don't know. I didn't know I needed ticking off in my so I found myself kind of wanting to listen to this band and when I was in a certain
That's the
mood.
best. That's the best recommendations when it's when you didn't know that you one needed to hear this.
Yeah.
Then that's when it clicks at the best.
What I
Not when you're looking for exactly what you are looking for and you found that. No, you have to find what you're not looking for. That's the
I,
best stuff.
I did a bad job with my notes. So, like, I write notes each time that we do our session. And so I wrote down Flor de Loto. I hoped I spelled it correctly. And I wrote down Jethro Tull question mark because I was pretty sure that was what was recommended. But when I got there, I went, oh my God, they really are. And I think one of you mentioned it was kind of a mix between Iron Maiden and Jethro Tull. And it was like this like merging of those guys. And I was like, oh wow, it really is. And so they're just two bands or two artists that I would never have merged together. And it actually really works. Everything from the instrumental sort of soloing that goes on through to the sort of high paced kind of chug that sort of is sort of inserted into it. It was just great, catchy lyrics, really nice flow in the albums. I think they're obviously a quality act. And have sort of refined their craft really, really well, and just can't speak highly enough of them. It's probably a little bit more progressive than the other things that I spoke about before too. So as we are, primarily progressive-based sort of channel, and that's Lupe's specialty, I should probably mention that band. And I just wanted to say what a phenomenal recommendation that turned out to be. So I've got my that is something that I just wanted to sort of talk about. Their most recent album, were you familiar with that one, Simon, yet? Did you check that out?
Look, man, it has been on my list. I've been keeping putting it, closer by, and I'm so bummed out that I haven't gotten to it because I mean I see it everywhere. It seems like it's this latest album is really popular as well. So I mean I don't think you're alone in this. Um, and I mean I love Maiden, I love Jethro Tull. I have to hear this, but man, I really wanted to get to it before this episode. I haven't.
I was
Yeah,
curious because that was my big takeaway, as I just had this funny feeling that this is like your sort of thing to
it's
check
probably
out.
it should be straight up my alley, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. So I did it, hoping that you had, and it doesn't matter. But now you have that, and so if we ever have like another third installment of the Latin American stuff, you can bring them up again, and then you can be like, yeah, so there's this band, right? And go from there. Yeah. So look, that was my other one that I had down. I have got another band that I checked out too, but look, I would be remiss to prioritize them over this one. I think this was the standout sort of piece of music from this area of the world that I really, really enjoyed.
I am really happy you like Flor de Loto. They are one of my favorite bands. I have seen them live many, many times. They are a local band, so I have seen them. And they also know me. And yes, they also credit put my name in some credits in some albums too, because I was like, she again in the concert, okay. But really, really nice band. They are nice guys too.
Awesome,
Uh,
awesome. All right, and then for Lupus number one.
Okay,
Well, what's
my
it gonna be?
next,
I'm very very curious.
okay, this time I discovered this band recently. Well, rediscovered because I already now knew them, but I have forgotten. They are from Brazil too. Usually when you talk about Brazil, people sing about soccer, they sing about carnival, they sing about samba, but only a few people sing about progressive rock when you talk about Brazil. And they also have an amazing scene. I have been reading a lot about rock from Brazil because I am trying to make a video for my channel, and I was listening to a band called Bacamarte. I You can listen to a lot of classical music influence in this album: violin, cello, piano, also a lot of craziness. This band was found by a guy called, I have his name somewhere. Okay, I forgot. Okay. Okay, again, so Bacamarte is a is a band that only released one album in the 80s, but the band was formed in the 70s. I think it's symphonic rock. You can listen a lot of classical music influences, also accordion, and the acoustic guitar sounds a little flamenco to me. And one thing that is really particular about this band is that the singer is a woman that is not common in prog rock. And isn't well, this is really common in prog, is that it has really beautiful moments and some moments that are really crazy. I don't know if you already knew this band.
No, I've,
But
I've never heard of them before. However, what I will say is one of the best things about having you on our channel last time is that all of your recommendations were fantastic. So for me, I'm really excited about being able to check them out as well in the background and definitely look into that too. So that's cool.
is it available online, this album?
Yes, it's on Spotify and also YouTube. And I
Awesome.
forgot to say that the main composer started really, really young. He was a teenager when he composed some of these songs, but they didn't record them until years later.
Is this the Brazilian version um, of Mike Oldfield? Once again with the Tubular
Yes, my
Bells,
outfit was
because
really
he was also just a teenager composing that. Yeah. Oh, but I mean, and some have their. What happened later then? 'Cause, after they released that album, they split up, or
yes, they split up some years later. Then he released a solo album, but they were really popular in those years. They were on the TV. Um, I have read in some websites that the producers of Genesis listen to them and they like the band. Um, they wanted the main composer. Sorry, I can't remember his name now, but his last name is Neto. They wanted him to replace Steve Hackett. Is what I read on in some websites. But he said no. I wanna continue my project,
amazing.
and that's great. And it's I
And
love
was
the
this
music.
was this when Steve Hackett uh
Left the
yeah, yeah, right.
left the
Oh
band.
yeah, that makes sense. That was the 80s. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Imagine.
The first song is called UFO. I really like that song. UFO means ovni. In UFO is the word for omni, you know? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
this song is really nice. It starts with a guitar, acoustic guitar that sounds salido las Andalucía. And then the song starts to get crazy. Yes, they have nice songs. I can't remember all the names of the songs, but this album, I have fell in love with this album. I really love it.
Sounds really exciting. Yeah, yeah. I mean, also once again, I love I to be honest, I love flamenco and that kind of music. Um, but also love it when Prague really goes heavy on the classical music inspirations. Like ELP does, or also like with the Bartok influences of um, some King Crimson stuff. I mean, I think that's awesome. Like it then has the the what's good about classical music, but then the muscles of rock, right? That's uh that's a nice combination, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a great combination as well. So that's cool. That's great. I'll definitely look
Yeah.
that up too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, certainly, certainly. All right. Oh, cool. Well, we got homework to do. Um,
Just more and more and more homework to do.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
the difference is I'm excited about this kind of homework.
yeah,
I am
yeah,
sorry
yeah.
about my internet.
Absolutely. Ah, no worries, no worries. We
It's,
cut out
I
that.
don't
It's
know
it's
what
fine now.
happened. I see
No
the
worries.
internet doesn't like Bacamarte because it was
That's
okay and suddenly
we have to find out who owns the rights to the album. And no, cool. Let's see here. I thought we could absolutely see if we find a bet you haven't heard this episode or something like that, where Lupe can give you know can give us more homework because you know a lot of stuff that we haven't heard.
yes,
And
I
yeah, we'll
also
skip.
have learned. with you guys because you also talk about bands I don't know and I am. Mm.
Well, that's the good thing, right, with the
Mhm.
internet, because obviously you are more prone to know about local bands, and we're as far apart of the world as can be here. Um, so yeah, let's schedule a bet you haven't heard this episode, and yeah, and then in the meantime we'll have to listen to Bacamarte among others.
Mhm.
Love the name; it sounds so Spanish. Or yeah, all right. Um, thank you both for joining today. It feels so. I'm so unused to having the host role. I don't know what to say, uh, and we'll connect for the next time. All right.
Yeah, sounds good.
Peace.
Thanks so much for
Thank
joining
you,
us,
guys.
guys. I'll talk to you
Nice
next
to
time.
see you again.
And peace out to everyone at home. Bye now.